New this morning here, one person is in the hospital after this fire in Bonita. It happened at a condo on Briarwood Road just before 2 this morning. You can see quite a bit of damage that happened to the balcony right there. The fire captain says the victim had burns on their hands and feet. 3 people are displaced, staying with family members right now. The cause of this fire is under investigation. We'll stay on top of it for you. Hey, it's 6 a.m. on this Thursday. So glad you're with us. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Netta Irampour. And thankfully, the red flag warning has expired. Yeah. But is our fire danger over? Meteorologist Evan Irani joining us to look at the forecast. At least that's over, right?
I mean, we love to see that we're adding more humidity, partial cloud cover, cooler temperatures. But the thing is, I wouldn't say that our fire danger is over until we see heavy, basically pouring rain in the forecast. And there is still none of that in our future right now. We're staying dry. So while we can celebrate that those offshore winds have died down, a fire wouldn't be able to spread quite as rapidly, there's still all that dry fuel out there. Dry conditions, dry vegetation, dry ground, and that just means that if a fire started, sure, maybe it won't be able to spread with as much intensity and speed, but it would still absolutely be able to spread. So when we look at the forecast today, we're going to start to incorporate a bit more cloud cover as onshore flow resumes. That's cool, moist air from the ocean. Widespread 60s this afternoon, but it is a cold start to the morning. We'll talk about those sub-freezing overnight lows in just a bit.
SDG&E is about to restore power after this week's shutoffs. They cut power to prevent equipment from sparking wildfires. Right now, 2,200 customers in Boulevard, Campo, Julian, and Valley Center are in the dark. Those are the areas in red on this map. The company says crews will begin restoring their power at sunrise.
This morning, San Bernardino County fire crews have stopped forward progress on a small brush fire. There are no reported injuries or damage. You see that smoke, though. It burned just 34 acres. 0% contained at the latest count there. The officers arrested one man for reckless burning felony charges. In Los Angeles, firefighters are working to fully contain the Eaton and Palisades fires. The Palisades fire now 22% contained, so that went up. The Eaton fire is up to 55% contained. Glad they have more than half of it with a line around it. Both fires are blamed for at least 25 deaths. As the wind threat dies down now, officials are now transitioning into a recovery mode.
Celebrations around the world after Israel and Hamas agreed on a ceasefire and hostage release deal.
It is set to begin Sunday, but is this agreement already falling apart? CBS 8's Chris Grow live in studio. You're tracking the latest developments and reaction to this. I mean, this is a major deal. Yeah. What's the latest here, Chris?
It is, and I think that's the key thing here. Will this fall apart, or will it actually make its way here to Sunday for the first phase? All eyes on the Middle East to see if this will actually happen. Now, Israel's cabinet has already delayed a vote on this ceasefire agreement, saying Hamas has gone back on parts of the deal. But according to CNN, Hamas says it's committed. CBS News spoke with an expert and analyst on the Middle East, and here's what they had to say.
In a very weak position. They have been, to a large extent, dismantled. They have very little ammunition left. Their entire leadership has been taken out and is no longer in this world. They are responsible, together with Israel, of course, for the death of over 47,000 people, the majority of whom are young children and women.
Now let's talk about the deal itself. The Biden administration says it was built on a frame that President Biden introduced last spring. There would be 3 phases to the plan. In the first phase, Hamas would gradually release the first of 33 hostages over 6 weeks, women, children, the sick, and men over 50. In exchange, Israel will release more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners. As part of phase 2, the remaining male hostages would be released by Hamas, and the IDF would pull out of Gaza. The third phase would include the exchange of bodies of dead hostages and prisoners between both sides. Then reconstruction of Gaza would begin. Now, as far as reaction here in the United States and San Diego, the Council on American Islamic Relations wrote a statement that reads in part, quote, "We commend President Trump for pushing for a ceasefire deal and reportedly warning Netanyahu that Israel, too, would face consequences for continuing to refuse to make a deal. We urge the incoming Trump administration to ensure that the Israeli government does not sabotage this ceasefire deal. And we also urge the administration to pursue the end of the occupation so that a just, lasting peace can prevail across the region." And the Jewish Federation of San Diego also put out a statement that reads in part, quote, "Today's news of the hostage release deal in Israel is both a welcome relief and a sign of much more work to come. We are especially glad to see that 4 of the hostages from San Diego's sister region are on the list to be released. Emily Damari, Keith Siegel, Zaki Adan, and Doron Steinbrecher. We hope they return safely." The deal was constructed under the Biden administration, but again, is expected to be carried out and continued by the incoming Trump administration after that transition team worked with the White House to get this to the finish line. Eric and Netta.
All right, Chris, thanks for the latest there. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria is laying out his plans for the city as we face a $252 million budget deficit.
CBS 8's Regina Yorita joining us live along Harbor Island with the mayor's message in his State of the City address and reaction to it. Good morning, Regina.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Eric, you had mentioned at one point that the mayor kept it relatively positive, and while that was the case, it was challenging for the mayor to do that just because we're dealing with a budget deficit. So he did warn about those spending cuts, and it seems like the city is entering an era of austerity.
It is an immense challenge that we're facing, but it's also something else, immense opportunity.
Now, that opportunity that he mentioned is about focusing on the work that's needed to right-size the budget. Mayor Gloria says that means reducing or even eliminating certain city resources. He also highlighted some of the progress made over his first term, including lower crime rates and the resurfacing of a quarter of the city's road. The mayor also promised to create more options to get people off the streets, but he did call out neighboring cities, the county and the state to help do more to address the homelessness crisis. Before the address, dozens of residents from communities like Encanto showed up, voicing their concerns about plans to allow dozens of ADUs to be built in their neighborhood.
Our city plan, our community plan shows clearly that this is not what our community can sustain.
There were also certain leaders who had issues with part of the mayor's address. Councilmember Sean Elo Rivera saying how he didn't hear enough about how Gloria's administration plans to work with City Council to make San Diego work for everyday San Diegans. San Diego families are struggling to afford rent, childcare, and groceries. So back out here, he added that city workers are having to pay the weight for a budget crisis that they did not create. In the next half hour, we'll hear more from city leaders and some of the criticism that they announced because of that address that happened yesterday. But for now, I'm near downtown. I'll send it back to you.
You see how gorgeous downtown looks?
Yes, it looks
Beautiful
beautiful.
days, mornings.
Things aren't
Don't let
whipping
that
around
fool you,
as
though.
much.
It is cold.
It is chilly start.
It is
Regina's
so
wearing
cold.
gloves. Oh, yeah.
Chilly
Exactly. So
start.
it is beautiful out there. We're still facing clear skies. It's not until this afternoon that we really start to see some clouds move onshore from the coast to our inland valleys. However, that's what's leading to this very cold start to the morning. Santa Ana winds have died down. Onshore flow resumes by the afternoon. So temperatures are going to be on the cooler side of average by the afternoon stretch. However, right now we are cold. 28 degrees in Ramona. 30 at Mount Laguna, 29 in Campos, so plenty of spots around the county are sub-freezing. Out along the coastline, we're mostly in the 40s to kick off the morning. When we look at Julian, for example, a spot that was under that red flag warning and wind advisory until 6 p.m. yesterday, are we seeing completely died down winds? I mean, they're a lot calmer than where they have been over the last about week and a half. However, we're going to watch as they pick up to about 20, maybe 25 miles per hour on those gusts. This is not nearly as intense as the 40 and 50 mile per hour gusts we had been talking about just a couple of days ago. When we look at Brownfield over the last 2 weeks, these Santa Ana winds have allowed for warmer than normal temperatures virtually every day. 67 is average. We have at least gotten to average or beaten it since the last 2 weeks. So over the course of the last 2 weeks, with the exception of one day, and that was not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. So we've actually had a pretty solid stretch out there of warmer than normal temperatures, including the last 4 days that have mostly been in the 70s out there. Today's forecast shows highs in the upper 60s for Santee and El Cajon, low to mid 60s as you start to make your way close to the coastline. PB could still be looking at a high of 60 degrees. A little bit cooler in La Jolla at 57, Imperial Beach 62 this afternoon. We'll take you up to North County here, San Marcos 64, Fallbrook 66, and Carlsbad 62. So again, remember, yesterday, a lot of our inland valleys, even toward the coast, we were looking at low 70s, mid 70s. Now we're at the low 60s, mid 60s. So that's a little bit of a change that you're going to notice. Mountains start to regain some normalcy. They've been cool over the last many days with those Santa Ana winds, and now they'll start to head back to normal. Those 70s head back to the deserts. Borrego Springs looking at a high of 73, Ocotillo Wells 71. Let's check in on traffic. So far, your roads have been actually pretty quiet out there. We will take you to the Coronado Bridge, though. There's no crash on the bridge, but we do see that speeds are down to the single digits in some cases, that there's plenty of stop and go traffic headed from the 5 into Coronado. It's typical for this time of morning. At least you can see how for that stretch of the 5 and the 94, things are looking smooth this morning. Let's take a look at your border wait times out there, where it's a 105-minute wait at the San Ysidro Port of Entry. Otay Mesa Port of Entry should be able to get you across a little bit quicker, only going to take you about 60 minutes in total.